Hey guys, welcome to another van build episode. Today we're going to be working on our kitchen cabinets. Me and a buddy cut down 8x4 foot pieces of plywood. I have all the nicest faces up, and I'm going to first notch out a toe kick. My plan, because I'm doing a face frame, is to do a 2-inch by 3 inches tall. So to cut out those toe kicks, I'm going to use a jigsaw. And pro tip, I always cut with the good side facing down, because as your blade comes up, that's how it splinters. Same with a circular saw. That's how I cut these down with the circular saw. And so that's why there's these splits on the bad face. Hopefully then that nice face won't have any issues splintering. Sun's going down, got about an hour of daylight left. I went ahead and drew out what the face frame of our kitchen is going to look like. So basically we'll have a middle upright dead center 25 inches in. So I made a cut list of what I will need to cut to make all of these pieces. We got all the pieces cut. I'm just going to take the sander to them. We're going to pocket hole them, and then we're going to get everything glued and screwed together. One thing that I got to make sure you guys all realize, because I made all sorts of measurements, made all sorts of marks where my drawers were going to be. This is backwards, it's upside down. So once this is right side up, everything would be the opposite way. Our drawers need to be on this side, and our cupboard doors need to be on this side. Since I just figured that out, I'm not going to move on any further because I'm going to have to erase some of the pencil marks for where the drawers are going to be. I think I'm just going to pack everything up. Good morning. So I was making new marks for where all the drawers are going to go. Because of how I flipped it last night, and because last minute I decided to utilize a wider board for the middle stall, it messed up some of my measurements because I had to take into account the extra inch, so it kind of moved it over. One of the problems I had was this bottom board no longer fit, so I had to end up cutting a new one. Luckily, the scrap ended up being almost perfect. I just had to cut about an inch off the end. For the bottom piece that I had, I am going to just cut that inch off of it. But I'm going to wait till everything's put together so that I can get the exact measurement for right where it's going to be. But I have labeled out where all the drawer pieces are going to go. So there we go. Came out all right. I have two 5.5 inch openings for the same size drawers here. This one I think is 7.5 inch, so a couple inches bigger. And then this one, because we also have that 3-inch toe kick on the bottom, I plan to make a drawer that will go all the way down with that 3-inch toe kick, and so it'll all pull out of that space. I brought in the face frame just to kind of visualize where the back of the board is going to be. One of the things we need to do is have supports in the back to keep the sides all together. The face frame basically will be that support in the front of the cabinet, plus the toe kick that we are going to build out of the 1/2-inch ply that I have. For the back, however, because I want to build a drawer that pulls out the back for our water under our sink, I'm trying to figure out just the best way of having that, which I think is going to be on the bottom, sitting flush on the floor, and then on the top, sitting flush with the counter up on top of it. Just kind of looking through the measurements, I ended up making the drawers 25.5, and then the cabinet, which will be on this side, is 24.5. I did the math to kind of figure out how long I'm going to need to make this, minusing out the 3/4 inch ply that we're using. So I'm going to cut for the cabinet side 23 3/8, 2 of those, and then for the drawer side 24 3/8. And that should hopefully pull in the sides of it and be the equal distance for the face frame on the front, so that we have a nice square box. finished cutting those boards down. Now I'm going to take some 1/2-inch ply that I had left over from when we made the step into the cab, and I'm going to go ahead and cut strips for the toe kick area. The cabinet side is going to have pieces that go the whole 23 3/8. They are going to butt into the side walls and be rigidity just like the backing strips are. Got the pocket jig out. I'm going to grab all of those pieces that we cut, as well as the uprights, and I'm going to get all of that pocket holing out of the way so that tomorrow we can paint. First on the list, I am going to screw together the toe kick. I set up these 90-degree angle clamps on the end, and then I put a board in the middle to make sure that line is completely straight, because this board, I don't know if you can see it at all in the camera, but it bows a little bit inward in the middle. So that clamp holding that board will push it nice and straight in the middle, and then we're going to have 3 pocket hole screws into the 2-inch board on the bottom to be able to keep it rigid. There we go. So that'll be the toe kick underneath. I have it so that it'll go into from the inside into the side pieces, and then on the bottom of the toe kick will go in and up into the side. Usually it's advised to always do them going up into the board rather than towards the edge, so that's why I did those. But these ones I still wanted hidden. I'm just using the 1-inch screws and going into 3/4 material. I don't think it'll be that big of a problem. Got all the pieces laid out for the kitchen. I'm going to go ahead, get the electric sander on everything, make sure all the edges are cleaned up nicely. Everything's sanded down. We got the primer poured. I don't want to bore you with it, so let's try something new. Instead of me time-lapsing it, I'm just going to go primed. Wonder if I can do that with painting too. Oh, come on. So, it's dry, I hope. This piece is going to be the outside upright, and so I'm going to start with the toe kick first, and then move on to the 2 back boards, I think, and then we're going to go ahead and place the next upright. So hopefully we can make everything square. If you have watched my upper cabinet video, this was basically the first time I've made cabinetry, so I don't know the best, I guess, 1, 2, 3 of how to do it. I just know the hope is to make everything square. There's half the box, half the carcass, since that is the word that you use for these boxes. And the things, the water jugs are going to be in there. So it is kind of a tight fit currently. And the sink will be back here. I'm going to, for our gray water, have a shorter tank than that one, but we're going to have our fresh water in those jumbo containers. And here's our sink, white with matte black, to match everything else. I guess let's move on to the second spot. I think I am going to put on the face frame first, since that's one thing that keeps it rigid, and because on this side we don't have a bottom piece because we're going to have a all the way to the floor drawer. So I'm going to put the face frame on these 2 pieces, screw it all in, and then we'll go ahead and get that side up. Woohoo! That took me a long time to get together. But damn, if it doesn't look alright. I'm sure because the paint is a little too fresh, I have some marks from where I had the clamps on. There will also be a door that's covering it, so more than likely you won't even see it because it's going to be a cabinet coming to the outside. All right, it is in. One thing I should have thought about is the cords. You know, we made holes for the cords to go through the wall, but this needs to be bumped into the wall further, and it's going to need a notch here. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, is notch this little corner out. I also am going to have to hole saw for the light switches through this panel and then through this outside, so that they're going to sit here to be able to turn them on and off. So I'm going to have to figure out where the flip-up counter is going to sit and then get it far enough over, but not too far to interfere with anything that's going to happen outside of it. I am not going to get any of this cut tonight. We actually have a trip tomorrow, and I gotta go and get a video edited so that you guys can see one coming up this weekend. I love riding bikes. Back from our trip, so back on to figuring out what I need to do for this cabinet. One of the things I did do was find where we need to cut the piece for the electrical wires that are coming out of the wall that go into the garage. So I'm just going to make a rounded hole right here to be able to fit that. I think it's an inch conduit that'll have to fit through there. There we go. Definitely cut it in a little bit further than I was hoping, which is no big deal. I mean, this is inside a cabinet behind. There's going to be drawers here, so you won't even be able to see that at all. But there's that seam. It is non-existent pretty much. As you can see, that bottom board is touching the wall, and then the gap gets bigger and bigger and bigger as we go up. I just got to double check that this is going to be 3/4, because here is where the framing member that's in numerous spots into the frame of the van. If it is, we'll continue as planned. All right, guys, jotted down some notes. Basically, I decided now I am going to make a face frame on the back of this cabinet, have an inset door that matches that face frame, and that face frame is going to hang out the 3/4 inch. And so there'll be a 3/4 inch door, and I'll use some inset hinges that I have, and that door will open to the back of the van, so that when it opens, you have that full access to the water jugs here. And then that is going to drop down 6 inches. We're gonna go ahead, call it a night, go to Home Depot in the morning, pick up a few different things, and see that we can get it done. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss an episode. Tune in next week to see how we finish the back portion of the cabinet and finish installing it in the van. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the next one.